The battlefield's unexpected prize. The war between Earth and the coalition of planets had been raging for years. It had started with small skirmishes, but soon evolved into a galactic conflict that spanned across dozens of star systems. Humanity's rapid expansion into space had made them a prime target for more established alien factions, and now Earth was forced to defend itself from an overwhelming alliance of enemy species. Sergeant Jack Mitchell, a battle-hardened veteran, was among those who fought on the front lines. The Lyra system had become a focal point of the war, and Mitchell's unit had been stationed on one of Earth's defense outposts, a cold, barren moon that served as the last line of defense against the alien forces. The battle had been brutal. Alien warships of unimaginable size and power filled the sky, their advanced weaponry unleashing torrents of destruction on Earth's fragile defenses. Mitchell and his comrades fought back with everything they had, but the odds were stacked against them. The enemy forces were relentless, and Earth's military was stretched thin. It was during a daring mission to infiltrate a Xynar flagship, and an enemy faction known for their ruthless tactics, that Mitchell encountered something he hadn't expected. After successfully boarding the enemy vessel and sabotaging its weapon systems, he found himself in a dimly lit chamber, facing a sight that would forever change his fate. Chained to the wall was a figure, bound and helpless but still exuding an undeniable air of nobility. Her green skin glowed faintly, and her lavender eyes shone with intelligence and defiance. She was an alien, an Erathian princess, a race known for their grace, intellect, and incredible strength. Mitchell's first instinct was to free her. The chains fell away with a sharp click and her eyes locked with his. You would free me?" Her voice was soft yet full of power. "We don't leave people behind," Mitchell replied, as he helped her to her feet. His mind raced. What had brought her to be imprisoned by the Xynar? The alarms blared, and within moments Xynar soldiers flooded the corridor. Mitchell and the princess fought side by side, their bond forming in the heat of battle. It was the start of an unexpected journey that neither of them had seen coming. A bond of survival. The escape from the Xynar warship was anything but easy. Mitchell and the princess fought their way through the ship's labyrinthine corridors, encountering wave after wave of enemy soldiers. Despite the overwhelming odds, they managed to make their way to the ship's escape pods, with only moments to spare before the Xynar were able to fully lock down the ship. As they drifted through the cold vacuum of space in the escape pod, Mitchell could feel the exhaustion creeping in. His body was battered and bruised from the intense battle, but there was something about the presence of the princess beside him that kept him going. She too was injured, but her resolve remained unbroken. "My name is Nairis," she said, breaking the silence that had fallen between them. "I am the last surviving member of the Erathian royal family." Mitchell blinked in surprise. The Erathians were a species known for their exceptional abilities and their once mighty empire, but it had fallen to the Xynar many years ago. Nairis's family had been assassinated in a brutal coup, and she had been captured while leading a resistance effort against the Xynar. "I didn't know," Mitchell replied, his voice softening. "I never thought I'd meet someone like you." She looked at him, her expression unreadable. "I am not just someone. I am the future of my people, and for now I owe my life to you. You saved me." The escape pod continued its drift through the void of space, the two unlikely companions sharing a silent understanding. Despite their differences, they were united by a common goal: survival. Escape to the unknown. The escape pod eventually landed on an uncharted planet far from the conflict. The planet, covered in dense forests and harsh terrain, was far from welcoming. There were dangers lurking in every corner: aggressive wildlife, dangerous storms, and the ever-present threat of Xynar forces pursuing them. As they set up camp in the wilderness, Mitchell and Nairis knew they couldn't remain hidden for long. They had no choice but to adapt to their new surroundings and find a way to survive. Mitchell was an expert in survival tactics, and Nairis, though once pampered as royalty, was surprisingly resourceful. Despite her refined upbringing, she proved to be a capable ally. She hunted and foraged alongside Mitchell, learning the ways of survival on this alien world. Over time, they began to form a partnership, one born not only out of necessity but also out of a growing mutual respect. As they shared stories of their respective worlds, Mitchell couldn't help but marvel at how far apart they seemed, yet how similar they were. Both had witnessed the destruction of their homes. Both had lost everything. And both were determined to ensure that those they cared about would survive. But their peace was short-lived. The Xynar were relentless, and it didn't take long before they tracked Mitchell and Nyrus to the planet. They had no choice but to prepare for the fight of their lives. The enemy's pursuit, the Xynar, had arrived. Their massive warships filled the skies, casting ominous shadows over the planet. Mitchell knew they couldn't escape. They had to fight. But with only Nyrus's knowledge of her people's military, strategies, and Mitchell's combat experience, they had very little hope of winning. Nyrus, though still carrying the weight of her royal lineage, was no longer just a princess. She had become a warrior in her own right. She fought beside Mitchell with skill and courage, leading the local population, an oppressed species who had been enslaved by the Xynar, into battle. The battles were fierce. The local inhabitants, once weak and fearful, were now emboldened by the princess's leadership. Mitchell, using guerrilla tactics and the knowledge of Earth's warfare strategies, taught them how to fight back. The Xynar underestimated them, thinking that their primitive ways would never pose a threat. But the tide was shifting. As Mitchell and Nyrus struck blow after blow against the Xynar, the warlord Zareth, the leader of the Xynar forces, began to take notice. He would not allow his victory to slip away so easily. In the midst of the conflict, Mitchell was captured. Thrown into the dungeons of the Xynar flagship, he faced Zareth face to face. "You are nothing but a pawn in this war, Earthling," Zareth sneered, his alien features contorted in anger. "You've played your part, but now it is over." But Mitchell didn't give up. He knew that Nyrus would come for him. He trusted her, trusted the bond that had formed between them. The reckoning Nyrus wasn't about to let Mitchell fall. Using her status as the last living royal of the Orathian Empire, she infiltrated the Xynar command ship. She knew the risks, but she also knew that if she didn't act, Mitchell, and all hope for her people, would be lost. She slipped through the ship's corridors, using stealth and cunning to bypass Xynar guards. Finally, she found Mitchell, shackled and beaten but still alive. "Get ready," Nyrus whispered as she unlocked his chains. "We're going to take back what's ours." Together they fought their way through the Xynar flagship, setting off explosions and sabotaging critical systems. The Xynar were in chaos, their forces scrambling to regain control. Nyrus unleashed her true power, a power that had been dormant for so long, waiting for the right moment. With Mitchell by her side, they tore through the Xynar forces, fighting, not just for survival, but for the future of their people. The final battle was fierce, but with the help of humanity's ingenuity and the strength of Nyrus's royal lineage, the Xynar were defeated. A new destiny. With the Xynar forces shattered, the galaxy had been forever changed. The once feared empire crumbled, and humanity emerged as a new force to be reckoned with. Mitchell and Nyrus stood side by side, victorious but scarred by the journey they had endured. As they looked out over the battlefield, Nyrus turned to Mitchell. "What happens now?" he asked, his voice quiet but filled with hope. "We rebuild," Nyrus replied, her eyes shining with determination. "The Orathian Empire may be gone, but its spirit lives on. We will forge a new future, one where humanity and the alien races can live in peace. Together, they would lead the way, creating a new era in the galaxy, one born from the ashes of war, where humans and their newfound allies would stand together to shape a brighter tomorrow."